So we're set to get started. Please, yeah, take it away, Amanda.
All right, thank you so much, Sergio. Thank you so much, folks. Good evening. My name is Amanda Fernandez, and I am the Spartan East Side Promise program lead here at San Jose State University in the Office of Student Outreach and Recruitment. My role is to support East Side Union High School District students and their families through not only the college exploration, but connecting to resources to support your transition and graduation from San Jose State University. I'll pass it to
Hi,
Sergio.
everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Sergio Diaz Luna. I am the Director of Communications and Community Engagement here at Eastside Union High School District. And my role is really here to support you in your journey as you're supporting your students. So helping get that information directly into your hands as best we can to make sure you're up to date with everything going on at Eastside.
Right. So today we're going to talk about a few different topics here, starting with resources for college exploration, as well as how to meet the CSU, SJSU, and of course the high school graduation requirements. We'll cover the requirements and services offered through the Spartan East Side Promise, and how parents, guardians, and families can support your students in preparing for college. So starting with college exploration, in a moment you will see a poll show up on your screen. This will be able to, excuse me, this will just show up again on your screen so we could be able to see where everyone is at this moment. So once that shows up on your screen, please go ahead and answer those questions. So we might be having some technical difficulties with the poll here. All right. So once again, the poll is shown on your screen. Please go ahead and answer as accordingly. Which grades are you currently here in? What stage are you in your college exploration? And check all that apply. We'll take a couple more seconds to answer that.
Great. We have about 109 folks who've answered. At the majority, we're at 80%. So yeah, we can go ahead and close the poll. And we should be able to see the results now.
Right, so it looks like the majority of folks this evening, fairly even split between our sophomore and junior students and families. Many have not yet started the process. Some have started. A few have built the plan with a counselor. A few are preparing to apply. A few of you have toured colleges as well. That's great. So this evening, we are going to cover again those tools and resources for you in this process. Now, as we proceed, we want to first start with some terms that you may or may not be familiar with in this college exploration process. First, you may have started to see that there are several different types of institutions, such as public colleges and universities, like the CSU or the California State University System, and the UC system, where students would go straight out of high school to earn their bachelor's degree. Or go to the community college first, where they will either earn an associate's degree or the minimum units they need in order to transfer to a CSU or a UC. There are also private colleges, which can be a little more expensive, as well as trade schools, where students often earn certificates and work experience. As you explore, please be sure to take a moment to consider which institution will serve you best in meeting your goals. Now, if not all, most of these institutions will be what's called deadline driven, meaning that there are no exceptions or extensions for a missed deadline in the college application process. Now, if you miss a deadline, this could cost you your admission offer. What I mean by this is going to college is not the automatic transition that often happens from going from middle school to high school. When you are determining which college you will go to, students must research if they meet the requirements, if that school has the major that they are seeking for their degree, and they'll apply for admission to that college. If they do meet the requirements and are offered admission, then they will determine out of those schools they were offered admission to, which they will enroll in, which one they will enroll in. Now, to be eligible for admission, the CSU will look at students' A through G coursework, which we will talk about further over the course of the presentation. We will also cover impaction, which is when a college campus receives more applications from eligible students than what we have seats available. Lastly, we will also touch on dual enrollment, an opportunity for students to earn college credit through coursework taken at a community college, CSU, or UC while they are in high school. The California State University system is comprised of 23 college campuses all the way north from Humboldt down south to San Diego. We pride ourselves on providing students with a high-quality, hands-on education that is student-centered, meaning that our coursework and experiences not only task students with learning the theory behind a subject, but how to put that theory into practice, build their skills, and be ready for the current and future workforce demands. For SJSU specifically, almost all of our majors require students to complete an internship before graduating college so they can build their resume and connections before receiving their diploma. In the CSU, we have over 4,100 majors to choose from. On the calstate.edu/apply/choosing a campus website, you can see which colleges offer which majors and filter out if the schools are in a big city, a small town, have a basketball team or a football team, as well as take a virtual tour of all 23 CSU campuses and contact the admissions office for pre-admissions counseling should you need aid in your decision to choose which school to apply to. Now, why do students choose SJSU? Well, one of the biggest reasons is we are the top supplier of business, education, engineering, and computer science graduates to the Silicon Valley. But that is not all that we offer. Our location is in close proximity to some of the largest companies, not only in tech, but we also have NASA in our backyard, Lucasfilms and Pixar in San Francisco, and so many other connections that our Career Center works hard to bring to our school every semester through job fairs, workshops, and posting internships and job opportunities on our internal job board called Handshake.
And I want to add something here about San Jose State University. Throughout the presentation, I think you'll really find that we're honing in on the great benefits that SJSU provides for our students and families. And that in part has to do because East Side Union High School District has a partnership with San Jose State University that's really unique, called the San Jose Spartan East Side Promise. That's a program that we're going to jump into a little bit later, but it's really one of those partnerships that helps our students find their way to San Jose State University and gain benefits from that partnership. So throughout the presentation, we're really helping you all understand the CSU system through the frame of San Jose State, because we have that partnership, but also the majority of our students end up attending San Jose State, this premier world university right next door to us. So you'll notice that throughout the presentation, but we will jump into the East Side specifics a little bit later as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that note, Sergio. And as a proud Spartan alum and a proud East Side alum as well, I want to shift gears to our points of pride here, starting with our recent rankings, some of which can be found here, such as being ranked one of the best value colleges in the West Coast, being one of the most innovative and diverse, and having a high overall acceptance rate to our over 134 programs. As you may notice when you start to explore our campus in the coming years, if you haven't seen already, we have quite a large population of about 35,000 students. But that being said, again, we pride ourselves on that hands-on student-centered experience, whereas our average classroom size for lower division courses, so that first and second year, are about 28 students to one professor, and they start to decrease to 24 students to one professor as students progress. In my entire time when I was at SJSU, I only had one class that was the large lecture style like the movies. The rest were small, which was great to be able to get to know classmates or professors, to get letters of recommendation later on, and collaborate on other opportunities. Now we have, again, over 134 majors and 110 concentrations and growing for our students to study here at SJSU. Here are some of the most popular programs, such as business administration, with concentrations in accounting, hospitality management, and entrepreneurship, computer science, multiple engineering programs, aviation, forensic science with a brand new CSI digital evidence concentration, and animation illustration, which is the only program at SJSU that students cannot switch into. So you cannot come in as undeclared or digital art and switch into animation. You have to be directly admitted. You can view all of our programs through the QR code shown here on screen. Our team will also put in the chat our majors and programs from our catalog. Now, starting with our admission requirements. All of our admission requirements can be found at sjsu.edu/admissions. Our team will also put this website and our steps to admission brochure in the chat for you. The first criteria that we will look at will be the A through G courses, which must have a grade of C- or better. When students apply from October 1st to November 30th of their senior year, they will enter in all of their A through G courses taken per the instructions of the application guide on the Cal State Apply website. Our office also hosts workshops on the application to be able to assist students and their families through the application process. Now, since students will not have senior year grades at the time of application, they must indicate the classes they have in progress at that time, and we will use their 10th and 11th grade A through G GPA to determine their admission for eligibility. Now, if a student meets the admissions criteria, we will offer admission in February or March of senior year and verify their eligibility, including senior year grades, after they graduate. Now, in addition to the GPA, the California State University uses these supplemental factors when determining an eligibility index score. Please note that the supplemental factors will vary between all 23 CSU campuses and that we no longer use the SAT or the ACT test to determine admission eligibility. For San Jose State, our supplemental factors that add additional points to a student's eligibility index score are if they are first generation, a veteran or active duty, eligible for the Cal State Apply fee waiver upon application, or if they are graduating from a high school within the Santa Clara County. Students graduating from a Santa Clara County high school will also receive our local preference, which has historically taken the form of a 0.25 GPA boost if the student meets the minimum 2.5 GPA requirement. As we are a fully impacted campus, we cannot accept applications lower than these GPA thresholds. Impaction is when a campus receives a greater number of applications from students that meet the minimum requirements than what we have seats available. Impaction does not mean impossible, as every major has a different eligibility index score subject to change, with GPAs ranging from that 2.5 to 4.0. You'll see those in a moment. When a student applies for admission, they will indicate their first and their second choice major on the Cal State Apply application. This is incredibly important. They're going to indicate their first and their second choice major. And in order to receive admission to San Jose State, typically, students need to meet the eligibility index score for their intended major. This is the formula that we use to calculate a student's eligibility index score, and an example of the scores for our most recent term of fall 2024. Please note that the math GPA will also be calculated for students applying to any of our engineering programs. More information on this, as well as scores for previous terms, can be found on our Impaction website shown on screen and in the chat. You'll also see that supplemental factors for all 23 CSUs can be found on this website and in the chat.
Yeah, I wanted to take a moment here because a question came up on the chat from Andrew Chen that I think ties maybe a little bit to this piece, and it was about how many students are applying as the CS major, getting in. I think here you can see by major the eligibility index score that a student might need based on the calculation on the left. So that can help you identify in your situation what that would look like. And one of the benefits of the Spartan East Side Promise is actually that if students don't meet that, there's still a way for them to get in as well. So I'll turn it over to Amanda to share more about that piece, but I definitely wanted to highlight that, Andrew, for you and everyone else in attendance on this slide.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And once again, the way our admission process typically works is a student must indicate that first and second choice on their application, and they need to meet the score for the major they're applying to be offered admission. If they don't meet the score for the major they're applying to, they're not offered admission. But that's where the Spartan East Side Promise comes into play. If a student does not meet the score for the major they're applying to, but they meet the requirements of our Spartan East Side Promise program, which are having their A through G courses completed with a grade of C- or better, having at least a 2.75 GPA in their A through G courses, which essentially could be their 2.5, as we do have that local preference of the 0.25 boost, and they apply by November 30th of their senior year. And rather having their application denied and withdrawn from the application process, they are guaranteed an offer of admission to undeclared. The Spartan Eastside Promise program was launched in 2016 and again supports our local students from the Eastside Union High School District through that college exploration and that transition from high school to college. It currently is slated to run through 2026 pending renewal, and more information can be found on our website here. But this program, again, provides students with a safety net, a third possibility for guaranteed admission to undeclared, and rather than having their application denied, having to go to another school and then transfer in at a later time, wondering if their units will transfer, if they're even on track to be able to go to the CSU afterwards. The other great part about this program is we have a wide variety of support services that we offer, such as multiple workshops, personalized events. We have a peer mentor available to meet with students, as well as our summer transition program. Here are some examples of those services mentioned, again, for students and their families, including our pre-admissions counseling, offered both in office, at our office at SJSU in the Student Services Center, and through Zoom, both by drop-in in our virtual front desk and by appointment directly with me. As mentioned earlier, again, we have our Eastside Union High School District Spartan Summer Program. This is something I'm incredibly proud of, as it supports students that have been offered admission to the university with an opportunity to experience guided hands-on activities and one-on-one check-ins to ensure that they are on track for their first semester at SJSU. Students that attend this program also become eligible for the Spartan Eastside Promise Scholarship, which is graciously provided by the Eastside Education Foundation and generous community partners. So, let's break this down a little further. When applying for admission to SJSU, students are applying to a specific first and second choice major, and each major requires a different eligibility index score. The eligibility index score calculation that we determine for your provisional admission is based off of your 10th and 11th grade A through G GPA and the supplemental factors and the local preference of the 0.25 GPA boost if you meet the minimum 2.5 requirement in your GPA and are graduating from a high school in Santa Clara County, which our Eastside schools are. Now, if a student does not meet the eligibility index score for the major they're applying to, typically they're withdrawn. However, students graduating from a Spartan Eastside Promise eligible school that meet the requirements are guaranteed an offer of admission to undeclared if they do not meet the score for the major they're applying to. This is again an example of how that GPA comes into play. A lot of questions there, so we'll make sure to address those in our Q&A near the end. Now, while we do not require the SAT or the ACT exams, we do want to draw attention to the CASP exam that students will take in their junior year, as the CSU uses this to determine English and math course placement. Also, if students have taken an AP, IB, or CLEP exam and have passing scores, this could provide college credit. However, please note that if you are taking these exams in sophomore and junior year and you have passing scores, You will not send us your scores until after you have been offered admission to the university. What your checklist will look like at this time is meeting with your counselor, ensuring that you're on track to graduate not only high school, but meet the A through G requirements. As a reminder, you will have until your high school graduation date to complete those A through G requirements, but you must meet the minimum 2.5 GPA at the time of application, meaning that the summer before your senior year is the last term you have to boost your GPA before applying. Also, if you have not taken a campus tour yet, please do so. Meet with us, visit our beautiful campus here. There's also virtual tours available on the Cal State website, as well as the opportunity to connect with the admissions office. But now, in regards to what your next steps are at this moment in time, I'm going to pass it back to Sergio.
Yeah, so how great is this program? That's Spartan East Side Promise for our East Side students. And I can't emphasize enough how critical it's been to help our students get there. We have about 1,800 students that applied this last school year through this Promise program. And we're really just amazed by how much access that's provided to a world-class institution like San Jose State. And looking back at how do you and your students get there, we're looking back at those requirements. We hear a lot about the A through G requirements that are required to get into a CSU or a UC system. And I wanted to outline the graduation requirements that are here outlined at Eastside, side by side with the A through G requirements for you all. Just for a comparison, consider that each 10 credits that is listed here is about one school year. So that's 2 semesters worth of a class. And as your students are selecting classes, our counselors are really trained on making sure that they're providing them with the classes that are going to get them to meet those A through G requirements and the graduation requirements. So definitely would encourage them to continue meeting them. The next slide here gives you a sample of what that 4-year plan might look like for your student. So I want you all to kind of take a moment, look at this list based on the grade, see where your student is, where if you know about where they are with their courses and how they compare, keeping in mind that each student is an individual. At Eastside, we meet every student where they are, and we serve their needs, get them into the courses that are going to meet their learning needs, as well as prepare them for the next steps. But this is just an outline of the different kind of courses that you might expect to take year by year. And we aimed this specifically at the 10th and 11th grade students, because when you're applying to the East Side Promise, what's happening is that they're going to take your scores all the way through the end of your junior year until when you start senior year for that A through G requirement check. So definitely want to make sure that all our sophomores and juniors are on track to meet those requirements. This is just an example of what it could look like for you. I would recommend you speak with a counselor. And right now, we're actually going to jump into how you can check your student's account using the resources we have on campus. So a few things that I want to point out here. If we can also press the. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that we have your up-to-date email on file here at ESUHSD. The way you can note that is that if you're receiving emails from our district, from your school site, most likely we have it on file. But if not, you can speak with a parent and community involvement specialist at your school site with a counselor so that they can update your information and add that email. Because now, as you all know, our primary form of communication is email. There is along with that, a system that we call ARMS, and ARMS allows access to a whole bunch of apps that are learning focused for you and your student. That includes monitoring your transcript, monitoring that schedule through this program called Infinite Campus, through Canvas, where teachers post assignments, they grade assignments and give feedback. And as a parent, you can review that. So we're going to jump into those a little bit more, but I want to first emphasize that it's coming through the ARMS account, and that account is based off of the email that you provide the school. So if you don't already receive the emails, definitely connect with the school. We're going to jump into what that ARMS account is going to look like for you as a parent. So again, ARMS is our go-to portal for parents to access all district applications. We're a Google-based district, so all our students have a Google account. So you'll see this is kind of a sample of what mine looks like. Yours might be looking a little bit different, but for the most part, all of these are learning-based apps meant to help you and your student. It's going to give you access to all the applications that we have available. You'll see here on the bottom left, Khan Academy is one of the resources that's provided for our students, as well as this new community Wi-Fi program that we have at Eastside. Some areas in our district, in a partnership with San Jose City, we've been able to provide Wi-Fi for communities because we know the importance of connecting to the internet. And access to that is available through your ARMS account, both parents and students. So once you log into your ARMS account, this is kind of what it looks like. If you need to reset your password, I would definitely recommend connecting with a parent and community involvement specialist at your school site. Each one has them. Later in the presentation, we'll outline them. Also, we're going to be sending out the presentation slides at the later, so you'll also be able to refer back to them. So don't feel rushed if you want to take pictures of them. From ARMS, on the next slide, we're going to see the first system. It's called Infinite Campus. It's a student information system. It's something that we use to collect all our student data. This is a fake spoof account, so no worries. No one's info is being blurted here. This is actually a spoof account that we're using, but this is what the portal is going to look like. When you log into your ARMS account, you click right into Infinite Campus, and it'll open because our district is linking those two together. And you'll be able to see the different parts of your student's profile, including their information. You'll be able to see their attendance. If you want to have that conversation about, like, hey, I got a call about you not being in class. Let me see your attendance. Actually, that's been happening for a while. That portal, the Infinite Campus, helps provide that, as well as a class schedule, academic planner, and most importantly, I think, is the report card and grades. You can view those through Infinite Campus. And later in the presentation, there's a resource that can show you. But that's one area. You want to make sure that your primary email and information is up to date here, because that's what we use in emergency situations to contact you. And if you can also set your language preference for families that speak a language other than English. We want to make sure that you update that here. Again, if you don't have access to this, connect with a parent community involvement specialist at your school site. On the next slide, another resource we have is Canvas, and it's really used by teachers to help keep track of assignments, provide feedback on assignments. One of the cool things about this program is that as a parent, you can see the assignment that your students turned in, and you can see the feedback they get from their teacher. So you can track their progress as they're going through the semester in any class that you're interested in through Canvas. And there you do need a link code that, again, your parent and community involvement specialist can help obtain for your specific student. But once you get it, you link to your student's account from your parent account, and you'll be able to have that access to view things like those assignments, what those tests are, when the due dates might be, and any in-progress information that they might have. So this, again, is accessed through ARMS, and definitely encourage you all, if you have not already set an account up, to follow your students' progress using this. And it's provided for free from the district, so that's one of the benefits. Here's a slide of all the different parent and community involvement specialists at your school sites. You might have met some of them already, but I really want to highlight their work, because they are one of our staff members that really focus on our community, that they're working directly with parents to get them access to the different resources that are available on campus, and they know just about everything that's going on at school. So they're great resources for not just accessing ARMS and accessing Infinite Campus or Canvas, but also for giving information about, that's, I don't know, an upcoming theater night. If you want to attend a theater presentation, a theater, what would you call it? performance at your school. I'm sorry, I was not in theater in high school. I wish I was, but there's all these different things that they know, and would definitely encourage you to reach out to them, especially if you need access to the arms, and especially if you're not receiving emails already from the school and district. On the next slide. So as you're monitoring your students' progress, some of the things you want to look out for is that they get a C minus or better on their courses. Part of that is because a D grade counts towards graduation, but it doesn't count towards the A through G eligibility. And that's one of those things that we want to make sure that families and students stay ahead of. Right now, for all our juniors in the room, where you know that you might have a D in one of your courses, highly recommend you speak with a counselor, because right now we're planning for summer school. We're planning for the next coming school year, and your school counselor can tell you your specific school resources to say what options are available. We have things like Cyber High School, which is a course you can take online courses to make up certain classes. We have summer school available. We have dual enrollment opportunities with community colleges that would count for both if you take it. So I would highly encourage you, walking away, if there's one thing that you're taking away from the presentation, is that speak with a counselor for any D grades that your student might have, so that they can make up that A through G grade, so that when they're starting that senior year, they're eligible for that A through G and can get into the Spartan East Side Promise. So this is one thing I definitely want to make sure you all know. On the next slide, these are some of the tips that I think provide an overview of the different things that you can do as a parent, as a student. One thing I always keep in mind is checking that email, because nowadays we have email as our primary method of contact, and I think our students read emails at a slightly lower rate than most parents, and I definitely encourage them to just keep up to date on that through that. On the next page, there's additional sheets or tips that I want to highlight. One of them you'll notice is that if your student is struggling in a course, we have an online tutoring system called Paper Tutoring, again, available through ARMS, that provides 24/7 online tutoring free of cost for students and families. And it's there. It's as a resource. If your student can't attend the tutoring centers that are offered at the school, they can attend that at any time they'd like, and they get feedback from one of the paper tutoring specialists on any assignments that they have. So definitely encourage them to take advantage of that. It's a free resource. It's being funded through the district, because we've heard through our LCAP process that that's something that's important to families, and we wanted to provide that. On the right-hand side here, you'll also see that there is a link to an additional resource sheet that has more of these tips and more of these links. I would definitely encourage you, if you want to find out more ways to stay connected, to review those tips, and along with setting up those accounts, attending the back to school nights, attending the sessions that are offered by your school counselors, and meeting with them regularly. We're all here to support you, to support your students, and we want to do everything we can in our power to make sure that they're set up for their next steps. So this is just some of the resources we have. And I'll turn it back over to Amanda, because we want to really highlight another initiative that we have here at the district.
Absolutely, and definitely take advantage of these resources here at your high school, as well as one of the brand new ones that is recently launched called the California College Guidance Initiative, or CCGI for short. Now, through this program, it is a legislatively designed authorized service to provide our California high schools, so not only Eastside, but throughout the state, with a cradle to career support system. meaning that this is to support you and your students through college exploration, career exploration, financial aid resources and planning, and of course have an integrated feature for the Cal State Apply application when your students are preparing to apply to the CSU system their senior year. The Eastside Union High School District is a partner district, meaning that over the next couple of years, as your students start to move into senior year, you will be hearing a little bit more about this. So make sure that if you do have those questions, there's also lessons that are built into there to get more familiar with each of these aspects, again, regarding majors, financial aid, career planning, and of course, that application integration. And one of the coolest features would be tracking the A through G requirements to see if a student is CSU and UC eligible or on track for the community college should they go to the community college first. Now, in regards to community college, another opportunity that students have is dual enrollment, so earning college credit while they are in high school. Now, dual enrollment is an opportunity to take free or low-cost college courses at a community college, so they would work this out with their current high school counselor, or a class at San Jose State through our Steps to College or Unitrack programs at some schools such as Mount Pleasant and James Lake. So if you do have further questions on this, please do talk with your counselor to see what that process would look like to take these courses not only for college credit, but also A through G credit. Now, the other areas where students can earn college credit are through AP and IB exams. Now, for AP and IB exams, you will coordinate with your high school counselor to register for these exams, as passing scores on the AP and IB exams can provide college credit. But the CLEP exam, which is very similar, it's the college version or the college level examination program, offers the opportunity for students to receive A through G credit and college credit, as well as through a partnership through the organization Modern States. Students can take an online practice course, it takes about 8 weeks or so, to prepare for the exam, and should they pass the exam, they will be reimbursed the fee that they paid to take that CLEP exam. The websites to see for test credit as well as college course credit articulation can be found on screen and will be shared in the chat as well. But at this moment in time, we've talked about your next steps, right? Meeting with your counselor, seeing that you are on track with those A through Gs, planning ahead if you are on track and want to see what that next step will look like. This is the timeline here. First and foremost, senior year, October 1st to November 30th is incredibly important. That is when students are applying to the CSU system. Whether that's San Jose State or not, the Cal State system does use one application for all 23 CSUs at a fee of $70 per school, unless the student is eligible for a fee waiver, which they would find out as they complete the application, and then they would be able to apply to 4 CSU campuses for free. Now, during this timeline of senior year is when students will also start applying for financial aid, but that does not mean you need to wait until October to learn about this process. We do again have the tools for CCGI, and many campuses have Cash for College nights and different informational sessions for you to be able to attend and learn about the resources beyond the FAFSA and California Dream Act, such as external scholarships, work study, and of course loans. Now, as Sergio mentioned, email is our main mode of communication, and whichever schools your students apply to, we will, San Jose State specifically, we will send them an email to activate what's called their My SJSU account. Through this account is where any and everything relating to their admissions process will be posted. So students need to already start building that habit of checking their messages. If students meet the admission requirements, whether that's for their major or undeclared through the Spartan East Side Promise, they will receive that provisional admission offer in February or March of their senior year and have until early May to determine will they enroll and become Spartans in the fall. Then we have our summer program to assist them in getting ready for that Spartan life. So at this time, I do see we do have a couple more questions in the Q&A. I also want to draw attention to if you have questions beyond today's session, please do feel free to reach out to our office at eastsidepromise@sjsu.edu, as well as reach out to schedule a pre-admissions counseling appointment should you have more specific questions. Our QR code here will also show you how to be able to connect with us both through the virtual front desk in person. It even has our Google Maps there so you can see where our office is and follow us on social media as well. But looking at some of the questions that we have. So one of the questions I see here is, what are the chances of undeclared majors getting into engineering? So that is a great question. The way that this will work is when students are coming in as undeclared, for example, they are going to be working with an academic advisor. So in San Jose State, we have multiple colleges that are grouped by majors. So College of Engineering is all of our engineering majors. For College of Social Sciences is psychology, sociology, things of that nature. And each of these have student success centers with dedicated advisors that students will meet as early as their orientation the summer before they start with us, so they can have that assistance with creating their course schedule. Now, that being said, if they are coming in as undeclared, they will work with that advisor to create their plan to transition into a major. Every major at San Jose State has a different requirement that will be based on their SJSU GPA and sometimes also the specific courses. Some majors will simply look and see what the GPA is and sign off on the change of major or declaration of major form. Other majors will require a specific GPA as well as specific coursework to be completed prior to the student being approved to be transitioned from undeclared into that major. So we do say, again, if students have questions through this process, especially when they are offered admission to undeclared, to keep an eye out on those emails, join our summer program to have that guided assistance, and of course, that assistance to prepare their questions for their advisor at their orientation. I'd also like to share that we have actually seen examples of this where our students have gone from undeclared to some of our most impacted programs, such as software engineering and computer science as well. So it is absolutely possible.
Yeah, there was a question earlier about vocational programs here, and as you guys are reviewing the presentation and come up with different questions, feel free to add them into the chat. We're in the Q&A session right now, but it was around vocational education courses. At Eastside, as a sophomore and junior, we have programming available for students to explore different careers because college focus is one of them, and the Spartan East Side Promise helps students get directly into that four-year university. But we also have programs with SVCT, which is the Silicon Valley Career Technical Education Center, that offers vocational programs to learn, to explore, and to take during their regular schedule. And your counselor would be the best person to connect with about those programs. They're also different by site. Even outside of that, there are dual enrollment courses that you can take through your local community colleges. And again, depending on what school site you're at, some of you might be going to Evergreen, some of you might be going to West Valley or another college nearby. And outside of that, we also have CTE offerings, career technical education offerings. Each school has a different focus. As an example, Mount Pleasant has video production style training. Independence has like an engineering style one. Yerba Buena has a law pathways program for career technical education. So that would be one of those things that's site by site based. Definitely encourage you to speak with a counselor on that to learn more. Another question I saw here was that if a student takes an online college class, would the credits count for their general education in college? And or would they skip that class that first year of college? And I think that one's a little bit of a tougher one because it would also depend on the class and depend on the college's ability to take that credit from that class and count it as a completion of the general education requirements. And I think they offered some options there. Amanda, were you going to expand on that?
Absolutely. So we do have several resources such as our A through G course lists that both the CSUs and the UCs use to determine if the class will count for A through G credit. Now, in regards to being transferable for college credit, we have another website called transfer.sjsu, as well as assist.org, which is used for the multiple CSUs and community colleges to see how that would articulate. So definitely I recommend checking out those websites, and for further more specific questions, meet with me, meet with our team, so we can be able to assist you with that.
I saw one question that was from Andrew. For course requirements, is the visual or performing arts requirement fulfilled by my standard textbook art class? And you know what? This is one of those questions that there is a great link offered by the UC system, I think, that helps you view by school what courses are eligible for A through G. So you can look up Evergreen Valley High School and look at what courses are offered that might count. And I think that one was added to the chat earlier, or is that the one you just added?
Just add it again. So that is the A through G course list to be able to see which classes at the high school as well as community college, or if a student is doing cyber high or a course for recovery through BYU, for example, Brigham Young, to see if that class will indeed meet those A through G requirements. In regards to art, usually that is, but again, double check on that website for 100% certainty. And of course, check with your counselor as well. I have a really great question here. So some majors for teaching, so for example, will graduates still need to complete another year and a half for teacher training after graduation to become a teacher? So we have some exciting programs at San Jose State called our SAGE programs, as well as they're usually known as like 4+1, where opportunities for students to not only complete their bachelor's degree, but also earn credit towards their master's or a teaching credential at that same time on that same pathway. So we'll go ahead and put that link in the chat for you there. But typically what would happen is if a student is interested, they're not applying directly for this at the time of admission. They are applying for their major. So prep for teaching, let's say liberal arts or child adolescent development, and then they will work with their advisor to transition to that SAGE program and create an educational plan. That way they know which classes to take and when to be able to stay on track for that. A lot of great questions tonight, and we want to definitely still address those questions, but also receive your feedback as well so we can continue to improve presentations moving forward for our classes next fall. So please do take a moment to scan this QR code, or we'll put the link in the chat for you as well to be able to fill out our survey. Your feedback is highly appreciated and important in this process to be able to continue to serve our prospective students and families. Also, if you have not already done so, make sure to go ahead and save the chat in the Zoom. That has a lot of helpful links on the information that we covered today in regards to A through G requirements, SAGE programs I just mentioned, as well as admission requirements. Great questions here. For those folks that, let's see, for our seniors on the call, especially if you have applied for fall 2024 and your admission offer was denied, please go ahead and reach out to me directly at East Side Promise with your SJSU ID number, and let's set up some time to dive into this a little further. Now, as for denials, this information was shared through the My SJSU account, and if your student has completed an appeal process, that would also have been sent through My SJSU explaining why that appeal was denied. If a student did not meet the A through G requirements, or if this was a GPA calculation showing lower than that 2.5. So once again, for those very specific questions, please do feel free to email me directly at Eastside Promise, include your SJSU ID number, and we'll go ahead and set up an appointment to discuss this a little bit further.
And yeah, we will absolutely be sending the slides to the email that you registered to this webinar through. So you'll have access to that. You know, I always freak out that I'm the one taking pictures and presentations like, oh, I need to save this. But yes, we will get that to you via email. Importance of email again, so that you have that with you to reference. And yeah, definitely, we've added the feedback survey there a few times. Please give us feedback. We take this at Eastside as like a really big part of our process. For any of you that attended the family engagement conference, you notice that you also received a feedback survey because we really care about making experiences like this better for our families moving forward. And thank you all for joining and tonight and getting the information because we need partnership like this to support students in all ways that we can. So we're happy that you can join us tonight.
Absolutely. So thank you so much again. If you do have further questions, we have about 1.5 more minutes here that will be online. And then once again, please do complete that survey and save the chat. All right. A lot of great questions coming in through here. How do we save the chat? So on the chat, you will see there's like 3 dots. When you click there near the side, it should say save, but we will again send these slides as well, which will have that information, and post the recording on our website. Ooh, another great question. Can I pick a minor when applying as a freshman? So when you are applying for admission, you are only indicating your first and second choice major. If you are interested in minoring, this is something you will work out with your advisor or the advisor for that program if it's in a different college. So they'll be able to show you what those requirements are and how that would look for your educational plan. And so you could be able to prepare for that.
And I see another question about internships during college or during high school. Definitely encourage students to take advantage of both. You can do, but that always helps strengthen any college application, but also when you gives that experience for a workplace, for a job, that's going to help students in the future.
Absolutely.
I see a question from Smita. Does absence at high school impact admissions to college? The absence from high school does not in itself. Attendance is actually one of the highest predictors of high school graduation, even more than test scores and grade and performance in classes. So attendance is a big piece, and it's a big component of performing well. So that's one way that that's linked. But I don't think that they necessarily look at whether a student attended and deny them based on that. But it is a big factor of making sure a student succeeds in high school.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your attendance this evening for our Getting College Ready webinar. Once again, if you do have any further questions, please feel free to contact us in care of the email as well as phone number shown on screen. Thank you so much and have a good evening. Take care, everyone.
Thank you all.